Today on The Point TV.
I think the public are hungry to hear the other side of the story. There's a lot of restrictions about what the mainstream media can cover. Yeah, can't say that. That's not what we're on. That's not politically correct. That'll offend people. We've never been better educated as a nation. All these people got university degrees, or they're running businesses, or we've never been wealthier as a nation. We've got all these successful people. They can handle a bit of information and a bit of disagreement.
And later,
in favour of the teaspoon of cement to harden up some of these characters. But if there are issues there, they deal with them realistically.
All this and more on The Point TV. So hey everyone, and welcome to The Point TV. I'm Gerald Pauschmann, and today I'm with Mark Latham. Now, you can go and Google the name Mark Latham. I'm sure for my overseas visitors who are watching this, it's probably not a bad idea to do that, or that you do that. But one of the things I love about what Mark is doing at the moment, he's moved away from mainstream, or actually he didn't move away from mainstream. Mainstream moved away from him, and he started up his own YouTube channel. And it's probably not a bad idea if you got the opportunity, jump on YouTube and check out The Outsiders with Mark Latham. Mark, welcome.
Gerald, thanks for having me.
Hey mate, I just heard you're here on the Gold Coast and you're all rugged up. What's with rugged up?
Oh well, it's a bit chilly there this morning. It pelted down last night. Here, the rain that came down, and I thought I'd better get a jacket on this morning when I came out at 8 o'clock. Yeah, it was pretty chilly. Probably get the jacket off in a while, but I'm heading over to the movies later on too, so it gets pretty chilly in the cinema, so I'll probably use this as like a blanket.
Brought your family up too?
Oh yeah, up here having a bit of a break because it's a long weekend in New South Wales.
Oh, would be too.
Queen's birthday, bit of an anachronism, but we still have a long weekend, so we're cashing in on the holiday and wish we had better Gold Coast weather, but not to be.
Oh, beautiful one day and Gold Coast the next.
Well, the rain will end.
So you're here, you were doing the International Conference on Men's Issues, and I want to talk about that a little bit later on. But firstly, why did you start up The Outsiders?
Well, I think the public are hungry to hear the other side of the story. There's a lot of restrictions about what the mainstream media can cover. They've got taboo words, taboo subjects, perspectives that just aren't presented. So, you know, the Australian way has always been a free, open, rollicking debate. You know, if you've got an opinion, put it forward. If you're saying something stupid, people will tell you that. Yeah. So I think alternative media, you get a lot more freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, and the experience in, 2.5 months for Mark Latham's Outsiders has been very positive. You know, we've got a good audience and people are looking for a different perspective, and that's what we're trying to provide.
And I think from what I've seen on The Outsiders is that you do bring a good perspective, but there's no vetting of what you say, is there?
No, there's no limit.
There's no limit.
No set of things we're not supposed to cover. So, you know, mainstream media will always find restrictions on what you can be talking about, even if it's true. Yeah. You know, I've had examples where I'll say, oh, you know, I've got evidence of this. Oh, no, you can't say that.
Don't want it.
Yeah, can't say that. That's not what we're on. That's not politically correct. That'll offend people. Yeah. Well, this sort of offence industry's just gone way over the top, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, their words, their ideas, debate, and the public will make up their own mind. You know, people are smart. They'll make up their own mind what's valid, what's not.
It's incredible you say that, because I think we got to a stage where, you know, I'm pretty much like a little bit like you. I like a bit of freedom of speech, and I think maybe that's been taken away from me. But I think even now, the freedom of thought's been taken away. I can't even think some things without people jumping on me and saying, "How dare you think that?"
Yeah, well, that's right. It's like living under the old Soviet Union or Orwell's 1984, where there's a body that are controlling your thought processes, or trying to, and it's pretty scary, really. I mean, intellectual curiosity, free speech, these are things we've always valued in Australia. And at the end of the day, I've always enjoyed political debate, because very often when people disagree with you, you learn something. You learn something about their point of view. Maybe there's something that was wrong with your presentation or your ideas. So it's normally through disagreement that you arrive at a higher form of knowledge.
But you don't try to be controversial, do you?
No, I just try and present the truth and the facts. And
do you think that's what it is? People just don't like the truth?
In large part, I often say to people that for the different outrages, and I've, you know, said things that they regard as unacceptable, it's very, very rare that someone will say, no, factually that was wrong. Latham said something there that was just factually incorrect. Yeah. Now that would hurt me a lot more as a commentator. If people could say, look, here's 2 or 3 things you've said that are just plain wrong, I would regard that as a weak performance by me, something I've got to fix up. But the fact that you just disagree about something that's factually accurate is not a valid reason to be expressing outrage or closing down someone else's free speech.
I seem
You know what I mean? At least if we're arguing about things that are true, well, we should all be able to handle the truth, as Jack Nicholson might have said.
You can handle the truth, yeah.
In that movie. So yeah, we got to the point where, unfortunately, in political debate, they're not handling the truth.
No, and they don't want to handle the truth. Do you think we're becoming a bit of a nanny state?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe that was a bit of a loaded question, but when I say a nanny state, is that I can't do some of the things that I want to do without being attacked by a minority group, or attacked by a group that says that they want to have their say, yet they have their say. But with someone like myself or you, we can't have ours because maybe we've got something like this.
Yeah, they're trying to monopolise the debate. They're not actually trying to persuade people or win the argument. Yeah. They're trying to monopolise the media space. Yeah. And the good thing is that in this era of free speech oppression, we've got alternative media, like The Point, like My Outsiders platform, to give people, the other side of the story and let them know that it's not just mainstream media. You can go somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's, I think people, like you say, people are intelligent. I think, the Australian public, we're fairly intelligent. We want to make our minds up as to what we want to listen to, and not we can just flick the channel, turn off to that. But I keep watching every, week. I think you're on a Wednesday night, aren't you? Live on Wednesday night, and check it out on Facebook, The Outsiders with Mark Latham, but also on YouTube. But you're not funded by $1 billion budget like the ABC or like Sky Channel. So you're just doing this on your own. You thought, that's it. I'm going to walk, or they walked you away from this. That would be a fair statement, wouldn't it? They walked you away from this because you said some things that you were just truly not trying to be controversial, but you just wanted to.
A few things that I thought were true. I wasn't trying to upset anyone or cause anyone offence.
Not your intent.
No, absolutely not. But certain things you're not allowed to talk about these days. And Mark Latham's Outsiders is there to basically say, these are our opinions. If you don't like it, watch something else. If you don't think we're right, tell us. But I think the public in Australia, we've never been better educated as a nation. All these people got university degrees, or they're running businesses, or we've never been wealthier as a nation. We've got all these successful people. They can handle a bit of information and a bit of disagreement.
So what is it that like when I see you walk the streets and you're just doing vox popping and you're interviewing people, and you're Liverpool, aren't you?
Oh, I live further out, near Camden.
Camden,
Southwest Sydney,
Okay, lovely spot. Narellan, Camden.
Yeah. That's sort of they're my hometowns these days for shopping and where we live. Yeah.
So where you do your little vox popping, you're just noticing that people are giving you the thumbs up. They're liking what you're saying. What's happened? What's happened over the last 15, 20 years that Mark Latham's getting such a good following?
Well,
reality.
Reality. People say common sense, saying the things that are obvious. You see, one of the problems with Australian politics, there are certain things that are obvious that our political leaders won't touch. It might offend anyone, or it's unorthodox, or it's not PC. So people aren't silly. If people can see these issues on the streets, they want someone to talk about it realistically, rather than within the bubble of political correctness. So realism has its own strength.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this conference that you're at, the International Conference for Men's Issues, and I think it's in association with Men's Right Australia, and also
A Voice for Men.
A Voice for Men. Your topic today, which is very interesting, is the myth around the white privileged male. In a nutshell, because we'd love to have a couple of hours here, but in a nutshell, what is the myth that you're talking about?
Well, society's changed a lot, and there's been extra opportunities for women. That's a great thing, and you can't say that we're dominated by white male privilege when girls are getting better results in school leaving. 60% of university graduates in Australia are female, when hundreds of thousands of extra women are joining the workforce compared to men. When male suicide rates are higher, when death and injuries at work among men is higher than women, and right at the bottom of society is 100,000 extra welfare dependent men than women in Australia. So if the rules have been set by patriarchy and male dominance, they're doing a really lousy job, because in all those areas it's the men who are technically the disadvantaged group. Now, men aren't whinging about it the way that the left feminists are carrying on, but the advances for women in Australia over the last 20 or 30 years have been fantastic. Your average man is much better in terms of respect for women and female opportunities than our fathers and our grandfathers before us. So all of these realities should be acknowledged, and that's what the conference is about.
So you think the men are getting a bit of a browbeating when it comes to us? If I have an issue that I want to talk about, whether it's PTSD or you know, I'm dealing with some demons. Do you think if I start speaking out to the media, or I start speaking out on forums like this, do you think there's a lot of people that may just go, you just need to, you know, drink that cement and harden up a little bit? Is that the whole...
Well, I'm not in favour of, you know, what I call victimology, that everyone in society is a victim, and I think the Australian way has always been a tough, resilient nation, push through problems, you know, be hard to get through your difficult times. So I'm all in favour of the teaspoon of cement to harden up some of these characters. But if there are issues there, they deal with them realistically. Don't plead victimology or fragility. We need to be a more resilient nation to deal with different issues. We've never been a nation of whingers or snowflakes. So I'd like to see a change in public attitude, that if there are issues, try and help people, but let's not all fall apart like victims.
And what's been the main message? What are people coming to you? So when I noticed that you finish your talk, you know, people are coming out and they're getting the obligatory selfie that they want.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice. But what are they saying? What are they asking you, or what are they agreeing with or disagreeing with?
I think what they like is that, you know, I've got a platform in various parts of the media, and they're looking for someone to be a spokesperson, to talk out, to be honest about these issues, and they just think it's refreshing that someone like me, I'm not afraid of the outrage industry, I'm not afraid of the lefties and the identity politics and the PC, that, you know, I just brush that aside and put out what I regard to be the truth.
But why this issue? Why around men's issues? Why aren't you around animal activism? Why aren't you around...
Well, there's a lot of demonisation of men. I resented very much in the domestic violence debate the suggestion that every Australian man could be a wife basher. That's what they say. Men have got these privileges. We're run by patriarchy. Every man is at risk of being a wife basher. That's not true. And a lot of men feel under siege, that there are some indicators of male disadvantage. You've got, say, in the Australian public service, an attitude now where you can be a well-qualified white male and you won't be treated on your merit, that other people will get the job because they've got different skin colour or sexuality or gender. So there's a feeling that men aren't being treated as equals. Men aren't being treated fairly. And a lot of the left feminist rhetoric is to demonise the Australian man as a wife basher, as racist, as bigoted, as a beneficiary of white male privilege, when in practice most of that is garbage. Yeah,
so you've had Ben Fordham on your show, and you've also had Mundine, but you're talking about separate issues there. What you were just saying here about this isn't a predominantly one-sided issue. Like it's not about race. Like it's not about feminism. It's not about male superiority. What is it all about? It's actually about us having a voice to be able to speak our truth. Is that it?
Yeah, well, it's that freedom of speech, but it's also an assessment of Australia the way we've always done things. We're an egalitarian nation because we've got the habit of treating people as we find them. Yeah. You know, if someone's got a few needs, let's try and help that guy.
Yeah.
But you're not going to accurately assess their needs by skin colour, by gender, by sexuality, by religion. You know, we shouldn't be lumped into these divisive identity groups. We should just be Australians who are citizens, and we try and help people in need, and those who are successful in our society, we applaud them for their achievements. So I don't like the way identity politics divides us on the basis of race, gender, sexuality, religion. We've got to pull Australians together and get back to the Australian habit of just treating each individual on their merits.
How long do you think this will take? Like, you know, there are people like you who get out there and use the platform for good, and get out there and have a say, you know, to the rest of Australia who says, hey, let's just calm down a little bit. Let's just have a nice open chat about some of these issues that are happening. What's the generational span? How long will this take before we kind of like get the understanding where what had happened in the early 60s with feminism has now turned into a totally different, for me, from what I saw in the early 60s with feminism, has now turned into something quite ugly and quite different.
Yeah, it has. It's a good point, because feminism was to create better opportunities for women, and it's done a lot of that, and it's been very successful. But I don't think anyone in the 60s thought the role of feminism in the end would be attacking men automatically, demonising men, talking about something like white male privilege as universal. So that negative side of it is unnecessary, and I think this is where most people say it's gone too far. It's just gone too far.
I'm not too sure what episode it was, but you did talk, or somebody talked about the 3 phases of feminism.
Yeah. Daisy Cousins spoke about the 3 waves, of feminism, and it was very constructive and important at the beginning, but it's gone too far now.
So how long do you think before we get to this stage here? So we're at this stage having this open conversation about some real men's issues. And how long do you think it'll take before we start to get others on side to say this is an issue and we do need to look at it?
I think it's a bit deceptive because the political debate and the media debate is really just the 2% of society who are talking in the media or in politics. The other 98%, I think, know a lot of the common sense of what we're saying. So I don't think people are offside. It's more that the media, the mainstream media, is unrepresentative of what the mainstream Australians think about these issues, and they've got a bit too much power and influence, and there'll be a correction at some stage. There'll be a correction in Australia, and hopefully it comes in the next couple of years.
Do you think, and I don't want to get too much into politics, but do you think maybe politics has a bit to play in this too because it doesn't serve them well? Like it's there's no coal in the ground for this one here. We're going to raise money here with these issues. So putting this on the agenda is not going to be a political issue. So what we'll do is that we'll just use it on education, on welfare. We'll use it with hospitals and everything else.
Yeah, I think people are disillusioned with the major parties and politics. Trust in politics is at an all-time low. So people are not very happy with the way the system's being run. So outsider movements, whether in politics or the media, I think people are looking to them to say how can we fix up some of the problems in the system.
So tell us what you want for the outsider. What would be a good outcome for the outsider to continue? You've been in this for now 3 or 4 months or something. It's going extremely well. You're every Wednesday on. You're live. You're going live. You've got a great studio down in Glebe in Sydney. Where do you see it heading? What's the goal?
Well, I formed a partnership with Rebel Media. They've had a lot of success around the world, particularly in Canada where they're based. And they've got know-how and technology to try and take us to the next level where we can get some support for running political type campaigns, media campaigns, not just be news and opinion, but campaigning as well. So I'm hoping the profile we've had with Mark Latham's Outsiders combined with the know-how of Rebel Media will make us even more effective. So we're just trying to go to that next level.
Do you like being the host or the guest?
Well, I never really saw myself as the host. It's a good point. And I've sort of hopefully evolved into it and got a bit used to it. Yeah, I've never really liked the idea of being the host because I sort of, coming from politics, you regard yourself as an answer giver rather than a question asker. Generally in interviews like we're doing now. But the hosting role, I've probably warmed to it over time. They're probably a bit more relaxed with it and hopefully going a bit better.
Do you like the stage where you get to a point where you go, I really want to have discussion with this person, but I want to remain neutral. Are you a neutral person? Will you go both sides, or will you just go?
No, I don't think anyone expects me to be neutral. If a guest says something that's complete bullshit, well, I'll call that out. But I try hard to make sure that the guest gets to have their say in full. I don't like interviewers that are interrupting all the time or trying to dominate the debate. If someone's coming on, I want to hear their opinion, and part of it is to ask the questions that do justice to what the person's got to say. Don't get into trivia and personalities, just talk about the big issues as much as possible, and they'll speak for themselves and the viewers will make up their own mind. Yeah,
because I love the verdict when Carl Stefanovic was on. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there were too many. I think for me there was too many on the table and no one could ever get a voice in. And
there were too many.
Just jumping on
I think it would have been better 2 on 2.
2 on 2 would have been good.
Like, 2 with one point of view and like a contest head to head or toe to toe or something like that, more than just a bit of a ramble.
Is there a topic you won't touch? What's off limits?
No, I think if the public's interested, we've got to talk about it. So if it's of public concern and relevant to the public interest, I can't think of a subject that we won't discuss. And I think the ones you shouldn't discuss are the ones where you're not well researched and,
absolutely.
I don't pretend to know everything that's going on. There's certain areas of political issues where I just don't specialise that much, but I think 90% of them I can offer an opinion.
Like men's waxing is off limits.
I don't know much about men's waxing. Quite frankly, I don't want to.
Don't want to.
Do you?
That just came on the top of my head.
No, let's leave men's waxing to, I don't know, what do they call, metrosexuals or something?
Metrosexuals, and yes, all right.
And swimmers, they wax up, don't they? Or the shave up or something. Cyclists,
Cyclists, they have to do that because it's resistance.
Okay,
well,
good for them. I don't mind a bit of resistance on my edge.
If you haven't checked it out, and you need to, I'll tell you what, you need to check out Mark Latham's The Outsiders. It's every Wednesday night. It goes live on Facebook.
Well, we're moving to a new format where it's off YouTube, but there'll be a link off the Facebook page.
Yes.
Part of the partnership with Rebel is to go to YouTube. but you can link it off the Facebook page. And if you go to our website, marklathamsoutsiders.com, you can sign up for the whole Rebel partnership.
Leave their comments?
Yeah, comments, involvement, that's what it's all about.
All right. Mark, it was great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Gerald. Thanks very much.
Really well. Thanks very much.
Good stuff.
Hey everyone, Gerald Pauschmann here, founder of The Point TV. Have you ever thought about hosting your very own show? Really? I want you to think about it. Now, if you are a naturally inquisitive person, then you may have just what it takes to host a show. You just have to hold treats. Now, you don't have to be an expert speaker when you do interviews, because you just have to ask questions, step away, and let the interviewee do all the talking. Now, we all know that there are some amazing talk show hosts who do incredible things by simply talking to other people. I mean, think about Andrew Denton, Dr. Phil, Ellen DeGeneres, and of course, the Big O. No, not Roy Orbison, but Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she started out with a half-hour, low-rated talk show in Chicago, and look at her now. And the secret to her success was simply interviewing people. Now, when it comes to the social media world, the big name that comes to mind is Gary Vaynerchuk. He became famous for Wine Library TV. He simply just sat behind a camera in his wine library store and he talked about wine. Gary also has a pretty cool personality, which led him to incredible opportunities. And as a result of him just simply talking about wine, he got a $1 million book contract. Now, I'm not saying that you will make millions, but who am I to stop you from trying? Come here, Jessie. Good girl. For me, well, I got behind the camera and talked to people who wanted to raise awareness about their cause or charity. People like Sam Webb and Casey Lyons from livin.org, who wanted to raise awareness about youth suicide. And Jackie Gall, a young mum who lost a child at 23 weeks and wanted to raise awareness about stillbirthing. Now, these interviews shot the Point TV to amazing success. I think these guys helped. Now, the interviews weren't the only reason for the success, but they were extremely instrumental. So if this is what you've been searching and didn't know how to get started, well, click or tap on the link below and see if you have what it takes to host your very own show. I should do a show about dogs. Thanks, Bear. Thanks, Jessie. See you on the other side.